Hey, good morning, everyone. Today's lesson is just about biomes. We talked a little bit about aquatic biomes the last two lessons, or last two videos. So this one's looking at terrestrial biomes or land biomes. Kind of key thing we talk about biomes, it's really a collection of ecosystems that have kind of similar climate, right? Similar temperatures, similar precipitation, but even within a biome, there could be wide-ranging ecosystems within a biome as well. So we'll kind of give some definition here. So a biome is a large region characterized by a specific type of climate and certain types of plants and animal communities. So the climate and then the flora, which are plants, and the fauna, which are animals, really what define various biomes. And there are a lot of different biomes out there, but we focus on just a few of them here in this class, right? We're going to focus on rainforest biomes, and you can see this dark green here, and you kind of see where we find rainforests throughout the world. Savannah, right? Savannah is kind of like a very, very dry grassland on the verge of desert. So here's kind of your African savanna here, right? Your desert, very, very dry desert communities. Grasslands, see grasslands here in the Midwest, grasslands going across Russia, Asia. You can see tundras. Tundras are frozen tundras where you have permafrost, as in like the ground never really fully thaws. Taiga, you can kind of see taigas in this region up here. Taiga is like a coniferous forest. You think like northern Vermont or Maine, or think of Canada with a lot of conifer trees, a lot of pine trees, bear, elk, organisms like that. And then you have kind of like your temperate deciduous forest, which is right here, which is what we live in, right? Deciduous trees are trees that lose their leaves, in the fall, maple trees, oak trees, and so forth. So there are a number of different biomes. You're not going to get too detailed on the biomes in terms of like range of temperatures, range of precipitation. You're going to read a little bit about that, but it's really more of a comparison, right? If I give you a little bit of a description saying, hey, this biome has, extremely dry biome, very hot during the day, can cool off, be pretty cold at night, that would be a desert. So it's going to be kind of a more general matching type information with these biomes. Really what determines biomes are two things: temperature and precipitation. And this nice little pyramid really helps you kind of see the difference here. So if we kind of look down here at the bottom, you can see very, very warm temperatures. Well, what biomes have very, very warm temperatures? Well, your tropical rainforest, your savanna, think like African savanna with lions and tigers. Well, actually mainly lions. Tigers don't really live there. And then your desert. All of these have very, very warm temperatures. The difference is the amount of precipitation. As you lower the precipitation, you get less plant growth, and then that rainforest can transition into what would be like a savanna. And if you even decrease the amount of precipitation even more, that savanna can kind of transition into a desert. Then you have kind of your average temperature range. This is where we live. We have like warm summers, cold winters. Our temperate forest, that's our temperate deciduous forest where we live, right? If we go into the Midwest, you kind of have more of a temperate grassland. And then you even have some deserts that are kind of colder deserts, right? The deserts don't always have to be extremely hot. Deserts are really determined more by water than temperature. We go a little bit colder, right? A little bit further north. We move out of our deciduous or temperate biomes. We move into our taiga, which are coniferous. You can think of like Canada, regions like that. And then if you go even further north or south, it works both ways going from the equator, right? Going north of the equator, going south of the equator, you get the same effect. That's where you have your tundra. And that's where you have permafrost. It's cold most of the year. The summer is very short and fairly cool. Right? And this is where you think like elk, caribou, wolves, things like that. So really, when you think about these biomes, it's really temperature, precipitation, of what dictated. And this is a great diagram to kind of understand that. One other thing that's kind of interesting with this is what really dictates biomes or the latitude at which that biome lies, right? So latitude are the lines that move horizontal on the Earth, right? 0 latitude is the equator. And then as you go north, it goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 90 degrees north, and then 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 90 going south. So kind of they range upwards north, or they range upwards south as well. So as we go, you can kind of see transitions, right? You go kind of more rainforest areas. Deserts always kind of run around 30-degree mark just because of the amount of precipitations there. It's like typically less precipitation, which is interesting. But then as we go, we get kind of our temperate regions, then our taiga, and then our tundras, you go north. And the same thing kind of happens going south. The interesting about that is altitude has really a very similar effect. If you've ever been out to like Colorado, I used to live in Denver. As you go up in altitude, it's kind of like going north or south in latitude. So if you live in, the city of Denver, Denver's really kind of temperate grasslands. It's very flat. It's, fairly warm summers, fairly, cool, cold winters, right? But the Rocky Mountains are right there at the edge of Denver. So as you start driving up into Rocky Mountains, like into ski country, where like Vail or Breckenridge, places like that are, right? As you start gaining elevation, you shift very quickly from what would be considered kind of a temperate grassland. You shift very quickly into what would be more like a taiga, where the dominant trees are coniferous trees, right? And it's kind of more of, it feels like more of a northern feel, like you'd have more like northern Canada, because you're gaining altitude. As you go higher, it tends to get colder above sea level. And as you keep going up, you're going to shift from that taiga, you're going to shift into that tundra region, right? If you've ever been skiing out west, like you can ski above tree line, right? And you get to such an elevation where the climate is different that it really can't support these coniferous trees anymore. So you can get above that tree line and really you kind of move to a tundra type biome. So it's interesting, is like as you follow latitude north or latitude south, right, you get the shift in biomes. As you gain altitude going up the mountain, you get the shift as well. So you can kind of see, here's like your temperate region, right? Here's kind of your taiga, your coniferous forest region. And then as you go further higher in altitude, here's kind of like your tundra region. So it's just kind of interesting how they both coincide together. You can kind of see the transition here as well, right? So this is looking latitude. So latitude going this way, this is like towards the equator, this is towards the North Pole, and this is going altitude, kind of showing that the similar transitions happen in both directions, which is kind of interesting. And that's it for the day. Your handout's a pretty straightforward handout on biomes. And thanks for listening. Bye.